Ready? Alright, so the question is, are repeated amnesties a viable long-term policy? The answer, of course, is no. Why, you may ask? Well, amnesty is only giving an incentive for more illegal immigrants to come into America, just like my partner Robert emphasized earlier. You see, the only effective way to decrease immigration is to decrease the demand for labor. This policy does not decrease the amount of labor demanded. According to Dr. Pius Arrhenius of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, he stated that a fundamental problem with an amnesty is that it creates an expectation of future amnesties. Hopes of gaining legal status conditional on living or working in the United States for a certain period of time would likely encourage more undocumented immigration. So, my opponent's solution is ineffective. It simply does not work. The conditions of the policy state that the illegal immigrants must first live here for more than 5 years, have no criminal record, and have to pay processing fees. You see, the first condition poses a problem, because there is no concrete way of proving that they have lived here longer than the amount required. And my opponents have not offered any way of proving such that they do live here longer than 5 years. As of now, I still haven't heard any way they're going to go about that. See, Robert Rector from Heritage.org states that it is doubtful that the Department of Homeland Security has any real capacity to separate true affidavits from bogus ones. Consequently, the potential for amnesty based on fraudulent documents is very high. In the 1986 amnesty, an estimated 25% of the amnesties granted were fraudulent. In this round of amnesty, the fraud rate could be as high as or higher than that in 1986, resulting in millions of additional amnesties. Okay, so as far as not having a criminal record, granting amnesty would pardon them from illegally coming into the country, but it would not stop them from committing other crimes that they are committing now. In an article titled Illegal Immigration, Drugs, Gangs, and Crime, Jameson Taylor states that Mexican criminal groups in southwestern states and Mexican drug trafficking organizations in Mexico routinely use Mexican illegal immigrants in North Carolina as couriers to transport cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine, and, to a lesser extent, heroin into and through the state. Law enforcement authorities in North Carolina principally indicate that Mexican criminal groups are also increasing their involvement in retail drug distribution. As for the processing fees that my opponent mentioned earlier, well, if Christine claims that granting citizenship or amnesty will allow illegal immigrants to take a step out of poverty, and yet argues that there is a direct correlation between poverty and crime, then does this mean that the low-wage illegal immigrants who can hardly support themselves will steal and commit crime in order to pay for these such fees? I mean, if they're having a hard time supporting themselves, how are they going to be able to pay the fees? The truth of the matter is that granting amnesty is unbeneficial to the economy. In an article by Tim Gaynor from Reuters.com, lawmakers in Arizona opposed to legalization argue granting citizenship to mostly low-wage immigrants would have a crushing effect on the state which borders Mexico and has about 500,000 illegal immigrants. He also quotes Republican State Representative John Cavanagh stating, "They're costing us in Arizona billions a year, and that's when they're all getting hardly any benefits." Okay, so if they're costing so much money, as illegal immigrants, just imagine when these illegal immigrants are granted an amnesty and are taking in benefits such as public services, healthcare facilities, and schools. Services that will be, paid for by your tax money. And granted, like my opponent said, they will be paying, if they're granted amnesty, they will also pay their taxes, but because of their low-wage jobs, it won't make a difference. It's so low, the benefits that they're receiving are more expensive than the taxes they are contributing. Okay, various disadvantages come to mind with such policies. Again, if we grant amnesty, this will create incentive for illegal immigrants to come to the States. Stephen Karamoda of CIS.org states that about 2.7 million people receive lawful permanent residence, green cards, in the late 1980s and early 1990s as a result of the amnesties contained in the Immigration Reform and Control Act, IRCA, of 1986. But these new INS figures show that by the beginning of 1997, those former illegal aliens have been entirely replaced by new illegal aliens, and that the unauthorized population again stood at more than 5 million, just as much as before the amnesty. Another disadvantage is that granting amnesty will cause higher employee costs. Tim Gaynor from Routers.com also stated that legalization advocates say giving legal status to illegal immigrant workers would raise wages by preventing businesses that use poorly paid illegal labor from undercutting competitors that do not use illegal labor and consequently bear higher employee costs from wages and benefits. So what does this mean? It means that the affirmative policy does not benefit the economy. Granting amnesty to illegal immigrants simply won't work. Now, real quick, just a while ago, Chris mentioned that the incident in Riverside, New Jersey, I believe. He said that they were trying to push laws against immigrants, and he compared us to them, saying that we're trying to do the same thing. So I'd like to correct him. We're not proposing to push any new laws against immigrants. We're just trying to, well, we're arguing that amnesty is a ridiculous proposal, and it doesn't work. Simply, we should enforce the laws that are already written and, they're already in place. You say that, Chris said that we're under recession, but the truth is, illegal immigrants do little to contribute and boost the economy. And simply granting amnesty to illegal immigrants will not boost the economy. It's the whole, security really has nothing to do with it. And it's a ridiculous proposal.